We moved away from Lexington, and I lost contact with J.D. At some point. And the next time I heard of J.D. Crowe, he was playing with Jimmy Martin, doing a fine job picking.
He and the Osborne brothers had teamed up after I left, and that was my first encounter with those guys.
I will say this about Jimmy Martin. At one point in his life, for a period of about probably 3 or 4 years, he was the best at what he did that's ever been.
And I feel like I'm number one on the hit parade of love. On the hit parade of love, I know I'll never stop. I got a long, long way to climb before I reach the top. But if I do get there soon, I'll really have it made. Then I know I'm number one on the earth hit parade.
Absolutely the best. I'm talking about vocally, I'm talking about guitar and timing, and wanting you to do the right thing.
I went with him in 1956, and he was living in Detroit, Michigan at the time, and was playing with, they had also had a barn dance, of all places in Detroit, Michigan, which was kind of odd, I thought at the time.
Then I know I'm number one on the earth hit parade. Then I know I'm number one on the earth hit parade. Thank you.
And I said, hello. He said, is this Paul Williams? I said, yeah. He said, this is Jimmy Martin up in Detroit. He said, well, I'll tell you why I called. He said, I want you to go to work for me, play the man and sing tenor. He said, come on up, catch your bus and come on up. And so I did. And that was in November 1957. And he come and got me at the bus station, took me out there where he lived. And there's a little slim red-headed fella there. And Jimmy said, I want to introduce you to my banjo player. This is J.D. Crowe.
Some of the clubs that we played in Detroit, they're probably gone by now, and they'd be a good thing. They were rough, a lot of them were.
It was mostly nightclubs. And it was usually Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. And you'd start early evening and finish up midnight or later.
But it was just a lot of fun for me back then because I hadn't been to Detroit before. And there I was in the big city, big motor city, you know. And but I enjoyed my stay there when we were there.
In 1958, we got a chance to go and audition on the Louisiana Hayride, which at that time was one of the big Saturday night jamborees. WRVA in Richmond had the barn dance, the Old Dominion barn dance. Of course, Wheeling had the Wheeling Jamboree, and of course you had the Grand Ole Opry, WSM. But KWKH in Shreveport, Louisiana had the Hayride, and had people on there like Johnny Horton and James O'Gwen, and Hank Williams had been there at one time. Webb Pierce had been there at one time, and Jim Reeves come through there at one time. And
at that time, Jimmy's records were doing pretty good. He was recording for Decca at the time.
At 8 o'clock on Saturday night, one of those shows was Coast to Coast on the CBS radio network.
The Louisiana Hayride, as I remember, is probably one of the finest places that I really look forward to playing, because it's kind of hard to explain, but I think everyone there couldn't wait until Saturday night.
All right, we're going to put Jimmy Martin and his crew to work again, along with the fiddling Dobber Johnson, and we've got old J.D. Crowe and his 5-string banjo to pick a little bit here tonight.
Thank you so much, Frank. It's awful nice to be down here at the good old Hayride. Big howdy to all you folks here, and also you folks listening to us by the way of radio. We'd like to do that number, J.D., especially for Tom and Nail and all of them listening in. How would you folks like to hear J.D. pick one on the 5-string banjos? You folks like to hear that, huh? That ain't enough. That's just a few of you. I asked you, did you want to hear him play one? Ain't it? With my help, J.D., you will be able to pick a banjo tune here tonight. You got anybody special you'd like to dedicate this to, J.D.?
There's nobody I can think of. Just
Do it for
everybody.
Ken, the band here on the stage.
All
They
right.
like to hear you pick, too. Okay?
Let's do a little trade 45.
All right.
The crowds at the Louisiana Hayride, I think probably was as good a crowd that I've had the pleasure of working with, or working to. Usually, when we had the Hayride every Saturday night, it was full. It was in Memorial Auditorium there. And I forget how many it held, but it was quite a few thousand.
Jimmy said it was going to WWVA, the Wheeling Jamboree, Wheeling, West Virginia.
When Jimmy mentioned that to Paul and myself about leaving the Hayride, what we thought about it, of course, I don't think we wanted to go, but
He thought probably we could get some more work. It had got kind of slack working Oklahoma and New Mexico and Texas and around there in Louisiana.
and also I think the concerts were a lot better. You had a lot more chance of playing more concerts.
So we loaded up and went up there, and it did get better. We did work more.
It was a drastic change from Shreveport, Louisiana to Wheeling, West Virginia. And I never really liked it.
We got a lot more work, and of course, when you work more, you got a little bit more change, a little bit more jingle, you know, and it always makes you feel better.
And we was doing a lot of traveling, and I was getting tired, and I didn't like the place anyway. So I think all those combinations is what did it. I said, well, I think I'll change for a while and see what happens.